Hey guys, this is Holistic Health with Harry, our Glyce to Realize talk show. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Mr. David High, who I've known on Facebook for a long time and has got great information to share with us today. So we're bringing you an exclusive with him. I think it's one of his first videos he's ever done. So hi David, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Harry. I'm a little nervous, and I'm super grateful to be here on this controversial American Day of Thanks. That we don't have to agree with what happened, but we can still find ways to give thanks in our life, despite. God bless the Native brothers and sisters.
Amen. Amen, my brother. Amen.
So, Harry, I'd like to open with a poem I wrote for you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
I used to write poems in my teens and 20s, and I haven't done it in
How old are you, David, by the way?
10 to 15 years. I'll be 41 in a few weeks.
Okay, cool. Cool.
Yes. I once met a man named Harry. When he told me he drank his pee, it was scary, but he seemed to heal, so I tried it without a squeal. Then I saw him with copper and knew he must be proper. Next he stared at the sun, and I found he was not the only one. Now he holds in his seed, but it's not about greed. He seeks to empower others and convinces me we must be brothers.
That is really beautiful. It made me laugh. It's sincere as well. It's funny and sincere. I loved it. Thank you very much. I really didn't expect that. So thanks.
You're very welcome.
Oh, I appreciate it. So David, that's such a great stuff. Thank you very much, brother. Can I ask you, as an opener, we know you have great information, but how did you said you're 41 years old too, so I'm guessing you've been around the block. How did you get involved in health? What year did you come into this field of consciousness awareness and all that you discovered? When did it all start for you, brother?
Well, it's been a very gradual lifetime progression that hasn't been intentionally conscious until just a few years ago. But frankly, it all started when I was a child, single digits. I remember my mother sternly telling me that I could heal myself and to not let anyone ever tell me otherwise. And I believed her. And I have retained that knowledge, and I've enhanced that knowledge and practiced that and added other modalities to it since. But the knowledge that at any time sickness, illness can be mitigated through communication with the cells is the basis for all healing, in my opinion. So in my teens, I had a wrestling coach who was very, very flexible, and I was very impressed. And he told me, "Well, you watch TV, right?" And I'm like, "Well, sure. You know, I'm a teenager in America. Of course I watch TV." And he said, "Well, stretch. Never just watch TV for the rest of your life. Sit there and stretch." So I did. And in my late teens, I found Dalian breathing. It was referred to as, which is a deep style of breath that uses the back of the nose. That I imagine you use as well.
I've never heard of what you said though. Darian breathing, you said?
Yes, Dao Yin.
Yin.
Yin meaning, very gentle and slow. It's basically slow and deep and controlled.
Cool.
Breath. And I started to use that with my stretching in my late teens and into my 20s and 30s, and it accelerated everything. It accelerated the strength gain, the flexibility gain, and I could feel deeper the activity, within the muscles and tendons, what was occurring.
Mm.
So I continued with that relatively unconsciously throughout my 20s and lived a standard American party / work life. At the age of 30, I had my first son, and about the time he was ready for solid foods, our pediatrician said, "Okay, he's ready." And I said, "Oh, great. What do I feed him?" He said, "Well, feed him what you eat."
Mm.
And I thought, "Oh, shit. I can't take my baby to Taco Bell."
Right.
And I thought, I got some reading to do.
Mm.
And shortly thereafter, I realized that most of the food in the world is poison, or has at least some, if not entirely poison in some cases. And we began to buy organic food, certified organic food, as much as possible for him and for the family throughout my 30s. Still, was still eating meat and a lot of heavy pastas and things like that. But that the taste for meat began to fall away as well. And at the age of 35, I had an accident, self-inflicted, like all the great ones do. And I put about a 1/2 inch metal spike through my foot.
Oh wow! What were you doing to have done that?
Well, I was working outside in the yard at night, and it was a long day, and I had probably 7 or 8 hours in of fairly hard labor that day, and I was tired and a little frustrated that this damn sign kept being in my way, and it was one of those things that you had to pick up and drive into the ground to get in the ground. And I picked it up to get it out of the way, and in frustration, I drove it entirely through the top of my boot, my sock, all the way through my foot, through the bottom of my sock, and into my boot. Not all the way through my boot, but needless to say, that pain was excruciating. And throughout the healing process, quickly I realized that I wanted to find something. I wanted to find some help with the healing. Obviously I couldn't put any weight on it for, I don't remember exactly if it was a week or if it was just days, but so I was stuck sitting there thinking, all right, I'm ready for a new athletic activity that's more gentle, than running. It's more gentle than sports. And I came across Qigong.
Cool.
Yes, I came across, it was a sports science National Geographic episode, and I will link to it at the end. That thoroughly convinced me it was exactly what I needed to be studying and working on.
And of course, it's no coincidence that you saw that at that time either. I don't think.
I'm sorry?
Of course, I don't believe it was no accident that you saw that at that moment in time either.
Right.
By the way, quickly, my voice is coming out funny to me. Is it okay? You hearing me properly?
Yeah, it's okay. You were faint there. I turned the volume up a little. It's clear now. Thank you. Yes, certainly not an accident. Like, definitely meant to find it, right? Like, no doubt about it, So 35, I began doing Qigong with a gentleman from New Zealand who studied with Chinese masters, who was frankly easy to understand with his speech, because most Qigong masters are Chinese. That is difficult for the American born and raised. But a gentleman named John Monroe with Long White Cloud Qigong had a lot of free information out there. And I went all in with that, and have practiced fairly regularly since. I want to say every day, but I haven't done a full routine every day. You know how that is, almost every day. And as with what happens normally for people who do practice energy work for a regular amount of time, as their channels or meridians open up, they begin to see the world in a different way. And I did as well. The things in my life I was doing were no longer fulfilling me. I was beginning to see deeper meaning in everything. My senses enhanced as well. About 3 years ago, about 37, 38, I really made my healing journey intentional, and I read a lot of things about New Age stuff and ancient teachings, and began writing down traumas and processing them and finding understanding. And throughout that process, I came across Reiki.
Cool. Yeah.
Which is the Japanese version of universal energy, which is everywhere, right? So having done the energy work and having done a lot of the deep Tao Yin meditative breathing and stillness and long, slow stretches, I immediately began buzzing after my first Reiki attunement. And I mean, I felt myself walking everywhere I went. I could feel my field in front of me and behind me. And yeah, I mean, without getting into all the ascension symptoms and all that and different experiences, I've been, electric, like, ever since, like, to the point where in every given moment, I feel swirls. What's that?
Moment, you said any given moment, you're feeling these kind of awareness of your true subtle sensations, whatever you want to call them. What you know?
Yes, any given moment. My hands, I don't even necessarily have to be aware of it, but I what I feel in my hands in particular, it's like hundreds or thousands of like tiny vortexes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the last couple of years has been just an upgrade of holy shit information from amazing gentlemen like you and other ladies and men that have been putting their lives and their information and their trials out there, and are not afraid to try things that other people tell you that you are crazy if you try them and things like that. And I have read a great deal of different esoteric type teachings and information. So yeah, here we are. The latest installation is I'm beginning to know crystals. This is azurite with malachite, as they almost always are together.
Very beautiful. And you say that raw is the best for crystals, and I agree with you. Raw, that's a raw piece of crystal.
Yeah, absolutely. Raw is the best. So if crystals are living things, then they probably don't want to be polished over and over and over again in order to be put into a cute shape. So anytime I can get a nice big raw piece to experience, I prefer that. I believe they prefer it that way also.
Definitely. I was thinking of an animal in the zoo, like a wild animal. You don't want to put it in a zoo and then look at it and like point at the animal and go, well, there's an animal, yeah, but it's in its captive state. It's a little different to it being outside in the wild. It's free to express itself as it was intended, as nature intended.
Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to talk to you. We talked a little bit about the history, but you've got so much knowledge. I thought I'd ask about some key topics that I know that you know a lot of information you're passionate about. So, and definitely for me as well, there's a couple that I want to ask, but I think we'll get to them later. So, do you want to talk about stillness? I think that there's something I'm learning on stillness. I'm not by any means an expert on it. I have a little bit of understanding. What is stillness to you? Why is stillness important? And yeah, it's like, what is stillness? Why be still? What does it do to be still?
So, yeah, that's a really good deep question. What is stillness, right? So you're not going to like my first short answer, and that stillness
Yeah.
is impossible, right?
Okay.
Because the more you tune in a state where you're not trying to move, right, the more you realize there's all kinds of shit moving within you.
Right. Yeah.
Right. We've got something like 4 miles, I think, of blood vessels running through us, alone. So, the more you tune in, the more you actually start to feel some of those processes within you and the body movements within you. And you realize, well, stillness is kind of impossible. But that technicality aside, the practice of seeking stillness and seeking a comfortable position that is good for your back, that's not necessarily, people will say back straight, but you don't want to throw your back against the wall and just make it straight, because you're going against your natural 3 curves of the spine. So you want to work with them in your seat.
When you say 3 curves of the spine, what is it? The perineum's one of the curves? Is that the cranium? What? The neck one?
Yeah, I would believe, as I understand it, at the bottom, and then there would be another one toward the top, and then a third at the top.
Cool.
So the spine's not like that. It's like more like that.
Wow.
Right? If you see, right?
Yep.
So some people, when they get into it, they'll try too hard to make their back straight, and
that's me. Yeah.
and you can, it's not all bad, but you can create other problems while you're seeking to transmute other problems.
Yeah.
So yes, so when you get in that state and you are able to get in a comfortable position, and you can either put your hands up, or you can do a different mudra. Honestly, for me, the most powerful mudra, when a friend of mine did teach me sitting meditation, which I didn't learn until a few years ago, is simply the prayer position with both hands together, both center points together. And this was something I intuitively did, but I was told later on by a teacher to, if you do that, put the ridges of your bones here at the front, and go ahead and put them right into that solar plexus.
Oh wow, that's good.
Yeah, okay. And then you can get a nice state there, and it's a nice tight energetic flow you can create.
I like that one. It makes you more centered. Surely you look very centered symmetrically with the hands and the center.
Yeah, a big part of what I have been trying to do over the last few years has been literally centering myself. Like literally, I had my right leg was like 45, almost 45, 90, almost 90 degrees to my left leg when I would stand normally. Right. Yeah. And I am almost 100% straight now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge topic in itself. The fact that I believe all humans are, by virtue of the matrix, despite you have quite an extreme example, and I think I am too, but we're all centered. The balancing of the brain hemispheres, one of the reasons why it's off-fired is because our body physically has got not off center, and that's why practices such as qigong, yoga, and even consciously standing, like the things you're doing, would help to recenter your brain hemispheres and body. And it must take a lot of effort, because we all know that we've all off balance quite a lot. So
yes, it does. And consciously standing, as you mentioned, is absolutely a form of energy work. With when we anytime we tune into our breath and coordinate our breath and our movement, we're doing energy work, whether we know it or not, you know. And the more conscious of that we are, the more alchemy can follow.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah. I did want to ask a little bit about the stillness, because I've just come off you heard of Vipassana? I've just come off a Vipassana retreat. I'm not sure if you're aware of these things.
Yeah, I saw you did that retreat. I'm not real familiar with the terms and the difference between this and that.
A total thing of it, but 50% of the Vipassana is you have to keep the body still for 1 hour. So you sit down in whatever position you want, but you're supposed to not move. And I resonate with the message of stillness that you're talking about, because I agree with you, by the way, that the body's always moving, and you said you've got subtle sensations which you feel. But what happens, I've noticed, when you do still, and you do force yourself, even in pain, to get to that 1 hour mark of complete stillness, is it stills the body, stills the mind, and the mind gets purified. And we all know that this mind is always like a monkey mind. Well, just keeping the body still and going through that pain, just quiet. It's like a meditation without actually doing meditation. Now, if you do some kind of meditation, mindfulness on top of the fact you're keeping the body still, you do get profound results from body stillness plus meditation. And I really am obsessed. This is something I think you're already advanced in it. I'm going to start talking a lot more about body stillness, and I'm happy to have you here talking about it too.
And I don't know if this sounds like this Vipassana to you,
Yeah.
if I said that right. But most of the time, and I don't get a lot of time to sit in meditation anymore with the 7-month-old who's.
Oh right, you got little kids, 7 months. Oh bless, yeah, it'd be a bit hard, isn't it?
Yes, and a nursing mother who I'm supporting them thoroughly. So I am pulled quite a bit. But when I am able to sit, my focus is to it's one of two things. It's either to focus on maybe on the breath in, you focus on peace, and on the breath out, you focus on love or patience, what have you. And you just keep coming back to that. Your still body position, obviously you're keeping that, but your mind, you can just keep going back to that. So if something comes in or whatever, you get distracted, say, thank you, no problem, and you just go right back into where you were. And the other way that I do is where I will just stare at a point. And, well, the first one includes staring at a point about 4 feet away as well. But the other version is where I just tune into my body. Basically, I just listen. I heard a little bit of your video, and you said the Vipassana, you kind of scan.
Correct.
The body. Yeah, I tried that yesterday. That was really interesting. That was really neat.
And surely, because you said earlier that you feel all the time the energies in your body, that would be amazing for you to feel everything, like every single part of your body just going off and just spending time there, awareness, like whoosh.
Right. Right. It's challenging because we can only focus on one thing at a time, but we still get pulled around. So it seems like we're going all over the place.
Yeah, I totally know.
So I seek to tune into the body completely, and just let it tell you what it wants to tell you. And for me, a lot of it has been back related healing, fascia, old fascia that's been tight. That muscles are quite easy to heal with the mind, and speaking with your cells, and anything that is like illness related. But the fascia, however, the parts that keep everything together and separate are like the Kevlar of the body. I've come to find. So it's not easily manipulated. You can't just go one session if you're all jacked up with a Rolfing expert and and be healed the next day, you know, back to like square one, you know, back to like a child. Like
You
we're
say
seeing.
you can't heal yourself with one healing modality done once and a lot. Like it takes time and effort. It takes time and effort.
So much time,
Hmm.
so much effort.
Yeah.
And one of the things, and this just came in, so I'm just going to mention it, is like, don't get discouraged, you know? Like we think, oh, I got to meditate every day. I got to do 30 minutes a day. I got to do an hour a day. I got to do 2 hours a day, or Qigong or whatever. And yeah, if you're the kind of person that you can say at 7 o'clock, I'm going to do this at 7 o'clock every day that ends in Y, great. Add it into your thing, and then you will have no problem. If you're not that kind of person and it's challenging, that's okay too. You know, find time. If you can't do it one day, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had such a hard time with that in my 20s.
You know what? I've been there as well, not enjoying the process, beating myself up. And do you know what that does to me? That messes with your emotions, and your emotional health is really important. So you're doing a great disservice if you're thinking, I need to do this, and you don't, and then you beat yourself up and you start going into negative loop cycle of I'm not enough, I'm not done this, I don't feel good, I've got low self-esteem because I didn't do this. And it's a cycle of sometimes you're actually better off not doing things that are good for you, but just accepting and loving yourself as you are. That's the irony of what we just said.
Yeah. Oh, Harry, you hit the nail on the head.
Mm.
And just a quick sidebar on the fruit and fasting thing, which you know uh, I've been into that. I do eat. I'm vegan, 99.9% vegan. Occasionally there'll be a few pieces of cheese on a salad that I allow there, or if I'm at a friend's potluck, I might even eat a little bit of meat. But it's not even once a month. You know, at this point, it's not even that often. But one of the things that before I discovered that our bodies are literally designed to eat fruit. Like that's the ideal.
That's your current belief that we are designed to.
Well, I think if you look at the intestinal tract compared to the frugivores, which are the apes, they're relatively identical. What are our hands meant to do? Are they meant to kill animals? No.
Right.
No, they're meant to pick fruit.
Yeah.
And eat it, right? Like nature gave us everything we have, everything we need, we have already. You know, just because we can make a tool that cuts a large plant or kills an animal, and we can make a tool that cooks it up, that doesn't mean that we should.
Yeah. Good point.
It doesn't mean that we were intended to do that, right? So one of the things that I learned throughout the energy work is that what you eat is important, but what's just as important, if not even more important, is how you feel about what you're eating. Yeah. So one of the things that scares me with the fruit movement and how it actually integrates into society is that, and because I found this with myself, is that it added a lot of dogma of, you know, oh geez, I'm failing, or oh geez, I want to have a cracker, you know, like I just want a fucking cracker, you know, like oh no, you know, oh no, and then you go ahead and eat that bag of chips. Yeah. And you know, you not only ate something that wasn't particularly good for you, but you feel like crap about it. Yeah. So you just made it 10 times worse. So you may have been better off just eating unconsciously. Yeah. Right? I don't know. This life is such a beautiful journey, isn't it?
Because this happens so much to people in the communities, and it's funny to watch. It's like they beat themselves up, and they get into a position of what you said of dogma. Whereas perhaps, yes, I'm with you. That's my personal opinion, and I might be wrong, but I think that we were designed to eat fruits. However, we are beating ourselves up, a lot of people, and not enjoying the process of your journey. And that consequence is holding you back from your real health and healing and happiness, because we're here to enjoy the planet, duality, the laws of nature and love and compassion. And you should not be beating yourself up and thinking, I need to be perfect with everything I do, because nothing is perfect. Nobody is perfect. We're all trying our best here, right?
That is absolutely right. That's absolutely right, Harry. If there's one teaching I wish that went along with the fruit and fasting, it would be that.
Mm.
You know.
Definitely. What can I ask you? What kind of fasting have you done? What do you mean by fasting? Because that's a big loaded term, isn't it? I mean, first of all, there's fasting from food. There could be all kinds of, but beyond that, there's different types. There's different types of fasting that people talk about, and people that's another dogma trap as well. If you don't be careful, some people say one fasting is bad. Don't do this type of fasting. I only do this type of fasting.
Like, right, that's so true. So I've really gone into this part of it quite slowly, because I didn't have I could so throughout my 30s in the crappier diet I could start to feel like some things within me, like I could tell I had some backed up gunk,
Mm.
like I could tell that things could be better even though I felt very healthy.
Mm.
I was still able to heal myself rapidly if I needed to.
Mm.
Um, so I've gone slowly into the fasting part of it. What for me that I embraced and has been life changing, and I would suggest for everyone, is the intermittent fasting.
Right.
Where you seek to do like 8 to 8 every day, right? Like 7 to 7, whatever it is. Seek to a 12-hour period of time regularly
Mm.
that you're not eating. Maybe not drinking, maybe drinking water, whatever. Maybe not. For me, I drank water. I needed to. I drank a ton of water because the crappier your diet, the more water you need to drink, right? The more you're hydrating with fruits, the less water you need to drink.
Yeah.
But you need to stay hydrated, especially when you're, in the process of ascending and you're in the process of waking up and learning all these things, and all these things are happening within our bodies, and healing and changing. That hydration is so necessary to allow that process. So when I found out people were dry fasting
Yeah.
for days or a week, right? I think you might have been the first one, actually. Now I think about it.
Yeah, talk about it.
I was like, holy shit, this guy's gonna like kill himself on video not eating. This is awesome. He doesn't even care. I loved it. And I thought, well, wait a second. Didn't they tell me in school that you can't go 3 days without water? You can't go a week without food? Like,
Yeah. 24 hours, your kidneys pack up. According to official doctor science, that's true. Your kidneys start getting damaged and harmed forever after 24 hours. Like, whoa, 24 hours? No.
Right. Like, so yeah. So for me,
you know what's funny about all that? It's a synchronicity. This time last year, exactly, because I got my Facebook memories. I check my Facebook memories sometimes if I remember. And this time last year was my day 7, my 7.5 day. I broke it today, this time last year. And now you're talking.
No way.
Yeah, I swear to you, I broke it this time last year. I've got the video. I posted it up as a share on my Facebook as a memory. So how weird we're talking about this right now.
That is so perfect. So when I was able to take that 12-hour number and turn it into 16 and turn it into 18, for days in a row, I realized there was still a lot of backed up stuff that was coming out, and I realized magic was happening. But with day-to-day responsibilities and wanting to maintain strength and focus, I just never, until maybe a month ago, I went ahead and I did a dry fast. I felt called.
I saw your post. You do
it was
24 hours. I think you said 24 hours. Am I correct?
Well, it was actually 36-hour dry fast.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because for me that was like the most practical thing I could do. Was to not eat. I think it was at 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. the next day.
Cool.
Like the next.
Next day.
Right, a full 24-hour cycle plus that.
Yeah.
That way I could still be completely with it the first day, you know, and then regenerate myself to be able to support, you know, my family. So I didn't want to be in a state where I couldn't
How
move.
did you find the experience? Did you, because I'm interested, because a lot of people, this might have happened to you or not, a lot of people would get headaches and severe detox reactions. What we understand detox reactions at some point in that. Did you have any at any point detoxification symptoms?
No, I definitely had some headaches, which I almost never have.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely had some headaches, but nothing that was like really uncomfortable. You know, it was just okay. I'm noticing, you know, I'm getting a headache. At one point, I did feel my arms just like light and warmth just enveloped my arms,
Oh.
and that was in the afternoon. So that would have been around the 18 to 20 hour period. But honestly, it was easier than I thought. I was still able to like do stuff and function. You know, I wasn't like laying around. I mean, I you know, I still, I think, you know, I did this general day to day, a little bit of yard work and things like that I normally do. I was extremely parched. However, when I woke up at the end of it, I mean, I was extremely parched to the point where like I felt like the back of my throat and the back of my hard or soft palate was like, you know, a grapefruit. Like it felt that big. Like, how am I even breathing right now? You know. But as soon as I, you know, had a drink of water, and actually, I think I didn't even. No, I didn't drink water to break it. I just cut up oranges.
Oh, nice. What a way to break it. With a nice juicy orange. Ooh, nice.
Right. Oranges are my favorite breakfast food by far if you're going to eat breakfast. And sometimes that's afternoon, right? As we find out. But but yeah, I just did two or three oranges, and that actually quenched it.
Yeah, and I bet you, I don't know, but I reckon those oranges probably tasted better than they normally do for you.
Yes, they were divine. Yes, they were.
Do you know one of the reasons it's got many benefits, fasting and dry fasting and all these things, but one of them is you don't appreciate. I'll speak for myself. I try to become more grateful in life, but one of my things I want to develop is gratitude. One of the ways I force gratitude on myself is by some kind of deprivation of dry fasting. Your throat's thirsty, and you just like, give me some water, and then you actually do drink it, and in that moment, what you're doing is you're giving your brain a reference experience of oh shit, I take for granted my food in my day-to-day life, and I even take granted drinking water. And the more you do the fasting, the more you get that gratitude circuit going of like not gratitude for the blessings we have living in a society west where people are, if you believe it, dying from hunger, if you believe that stuff, and there's us taking for granted all this stuff, and then we get to these things and we're like, oh, they're so lovely when I fast and I do this stuff.
Yeah, I never thought about it doing it from the gratitude standpoint. That sounds very, very powerful.
I mean, that's not the primary reason why I do it, but it's definitely one of the benefits I noticed. I do become more grateful in those times, and it just builds up the gratitude muscle of I shouldn't take for granted my life here and the water that flows around my body and my food. So
yeah, right. Yeah, and the biggest thing I noticed through the fasting, frankly, more than any kind of symptoms or cleaning out, because I'm not sure what I even cleaned out, to be honest with you, was just the dependency that we have on full food and drink. And I cannot count how many times my body pulled me toward the fridge, the cabinet, the water fountain. Like, I mean, it was like, I was like, holy shit, like, it really does rule our lives,
Yeah, and another thing, did you notice when you're fasting, doing that dry fast, did you notice that we think about food a lot too? We think about it. Like our mind power is just obsessed with it. Like,
honestly, I didn't have that. It was that pull. You know what I mean? Like if I was either being pulled and I was saying no, like it didn't it didn't fall on me.
Hmm.
Believe it or not. um, yeah, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there briefly. So I did the 36-hour dry fast. That was quite interesting. And today I'm doing my first like water fast during the day.
No way. Another question. You're doing a water fast. Have you got a plan for when this is ending, or just you rolling with the times?
Well, it's just to commemorate the bullshit that is Thanksgiving Day here in America. It's really just for that and just to experience it.
Hmm.
You know, I am going to my parents' house tomorrow, and I will be eating in the afternoon. So
Oh, okay.
I'll probably break it in the morning with some fruits and get plenty of fruits in the morning to clean out anything that wants to be cleaned out before I put some pasta
Hmm.
and stuff in there to you know.
Very cool, brother. By the way, can I ask you, what water do you drink? What kind? Are you spring water? Are you distilled water? Are you reverse osmosis? So many different types of drink water. I'm curious. I'm open-minded to all of them. So, what waters do you drink?
Right. So we're blessed to have a reverse osmosis system, a drinking water system in the house.
Cool.
That is installed under our sink.
Hmm.
Now the water is first softened through a softener as it comes into the house, and that takes some of the gunk out of it. And of course, the reverse osmosis takes it very close to distilled.
Hmm.
Not now. When I do buy water, I will have distilled. Like for my smoothies, I keep gallons of distilled downstairs.
Hmm.
It's convenient, and distilled works really well too.
Hmm.
So I do use distilled water with the smoothies, but I would say, yeah, I mean, reverse osmosis, distilled water, or ideally right out of the earth.
This is awesome. You said you got family too, young kids, so that they're also, I assume, getting the quality water too down in the system.
Right, right. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one. Even uh, as I've been awakening, I've known about the dangers of fluoride and
Hmm.
the neurotoxicity involved um, with that. So I always had a fluoride filter. Company called Clearly Filtered, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but having the reverse osmosis, like where it just comes out of the sink and you have the little tap on the side just for that. Yes, I make sure the kids are are drinking out of that, and mom's drinking out of that. So ultimately, baby is too.
Yeah, I really think these kind of waters decalcify the pineal and just go into the system and just clean up all the crap and gunk. Especially if you're doing a water fast like you're doing, you're not putting any food in. It's like just going to go in there and wash out every single little layers of toxicity from childhood, all that stuff, and do a deep cleanse.
Yeah, yeah. There's still more. I know there is. I know I've done a lot. The eating smoothies for years and pooping like 6 to 8 times a day. I know I cleaned out so much, but
Yeah.
it's still in there, right? How is it possible? We have so much
Well,
room
the
in our
body, the body's
intestines.
amazing. I think the body's so amazing that it will store up. Can you imagine, like people like us have got like years of toxicity? Can you imagine the people that are just going to bring about Alzheimer's and heart attacks at 40s, 50s? They're just there's so much more. This is worrying to think about. It's hiding in there, and they don't feel any problems for most of their life. And then at 40, they drop dead of heart attack. It's because the toxicities just get reached a point like the body can't hold into the crap. The body's amazing. Like you said, it holds into so much crap in us, and we work on ourselves. So what does it do on someone that doesn't work on themselves? It holds in the crap, and eventually that just spills out into what we call a manifest as a chronic disease that is incurable, an accident, genetics.
Right, organ failure, and it could be. It doesn't even matter which organ it is. It all comes from the same built up toxin load that so many are just unaware of.
Yeah.
I really think that shift is occurring though.
Mm-hmm.
There's a huge shift going on
Yeah.
of consciousness, we've reached that we're reaching that breaking point here in America, with our glorious president and his inhumanity that cannot be denied. It's forcing people to look. People that were on the fringe of waking up, are being forced to realize more, and that's a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful to be on this journey with you, Harry.
I feel the same way, brother. I'm happy that we're connected and have been woken up deliberately to help. And we're not the only people. There's so many of us out there that are doing this. And I'm excited. I had an interview yesterday and I told the guy, it's truth. I'm so excited I feel like we're living in the best time. And that could be perceived as a bias because everybody thinks they're living in the best time. But it's true, isn't it? We all want to think, we all think, ours is the best time. But actually, when you think about it, for example, our parents, our grandparents, First World War, Second World War, billions of people getting wiped off the planet. Now there's this massive shift going on, whereas not everyone's awake, but we are blessed enough to have received the knowledge that's still not been lost from yoga, from urine therapy, from fasting, and from Qigong. All these things have not been lost. They've been passed on to us, and now we're activating them and helping each other grow. And I really do think this is the best time, and we are the most luckiest people ever.
I have to agree. I have to agree. Now, all this we talked about, I think I haven't even mentioned the part that you're most interested in, Harry, have I?
No, I was on the back of my mind. Please, yes, I think I know what you're going to talk. Please go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, I believe your primary motivation for contacting me about this was your recent dive into Mantak Chia and some of his many very powerful teachings. And I came across some of his teachings as well with my awakening around the time I found Reiki, universal energy. I realized that was a big part of me that needed healed. That standard American diet of, porno and fast sex and, get it over with. Now I feel better. Sleep.
Yeah.
Great. And turned into, you masturbate and then you have to do it again. And it's never enough. But you feel yourself just like not fulfilled and, just, I don't know, slowly dying. But I mean, that's kind of how it was getting to the point where, I was feeling that life force just dissipating from me. So I knew that there was another way, that I had to do something with it, but I didn't know what exactly. And I don't know exactly where you've been at with your experiments, Harry. I'm quite curious.
I'm very new to this, but I've been seeing retention for 3 years, and the most I've ever got was 70 days because I count wet dreams. So I always had problems with wet dreams every 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 days into my runs. But this current one, I'm on day 54, and I'm pretty sure that this one will not be broken by a wet dream. So I can honestly say, brother, and I'm single too, which helps. I don't have to practice actually going through the motions of sex with retention. So I'm very excited because I'm starting to get very easily play around with what Chia would call the microcosmic orbit. However, actually, I've got a query for you. I don't know if you know the answer for this. You might like it. So what I do is when I wake up in the mornings and I've got morning word, or at nighttime I've got that erection, my challenge is to get it down. That knows I'm doing it properly, but I'll do the perineum contractions. Now I think I'm having an orgasm in my legs, and that's pretty instant. My legs and my arms, but that kind of goes against what Chia says. Chia says that it goes up the base, the perineum, and I'm sure that it's because I feel the sexual energy. My legs start shaking and I can feel them being dumped there. I'm just wondering why I'm almost certain they're going to the legs, and I'm trying to work out, is that a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is that because my legs are quite toxic? I feel like it is. I feel like the sexual energy measurement is so clever. It's going to the weakest part of your body. Now, I don't know what your opinions of all this is. I'm just trying to simulate hunter-gatherer style, whether I'm doing things wrong or if I'm right. Can it go to the legs? And
Well, okay, so you wake up with an erection, which isn't that erection isn't necessarily sexual, actually.
Okay.
Well, I've heard, and this makes the most sense to me. It's actually to prevent us from urinating on ourselves.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Because obviously in a state of erection, it's very difficult to urinate.
Yeah.
You gotta like get it going. So before you do the microcosmic orbit, are you saying you're actually literally feeling like aroused, like you're feeling like horny?
Sometimes I manually arouse myself like when I'm doing my Taoist testicular massage. So I grab the testes and I'll rub them. And because I'm deep in semen retention, it's very sensitive. So I'll get aroused without having an erection. So I definitely feel sexual. And then I'll do the manual contraction, anus perineum contractions quickly, again. And then I'll feel eventually, very soon, my orgasming in the legs. My legs start shaking.
Okay, let me stop you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to ask something based on that. Okay, so after you contract the perineum and anus, what do you do consciously with the energy?
Good question. Most of the time, I'm so focused on the perineum contractions that I'm doing them, and if I can remember, which is rarely, I'll try and imagine. I won't imagine it like a sippy cup like you're supposed to do. I'll just imagine it being in my brain already, or being in my spine, or being in my kidneys. So I'll imagine it, not in the legs, never in the legs. It just goes to the legs, it would seem. So I'm always imagining, not always, but I'm mostly focusing on the manual pump, like and grimacing my face, so my muscles in my face will contract. I will contract my anus and my perineum, my penis, all that will contract, and I'll just focus on that. But sometimes if I'm thinking, I'll think, okay, now the sexual energy is in my, I'll go like, what would it feel like if the sexual energy which I'm pumping is in my spine? What would it feel like? And I think that would help, but I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, I'm still trying to understand this. So you say you're pumping.
Pumping with the muscles. My muscles are just, I'm pumping up. I'm pumping.
Okay, so you're pumping it, but it's as far as your consciousness of the energy, it's basically staying in place intentionally.
I'm pumping. I'm so focused on the pumping that's quite often I don't do the kind of thought one. I don't do the most of the time imagining it going from. Sometimes I do, but most of the time I'm just so intent on the pumping that I feel like that's enough. I'm not saying it is enough, that I just
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the times that you do focus on drawing it up your spine, do you still have the leg issues the same?
Yes. Every time I focus, whether I focus on the spine, focus correctly, or I don't focus, I do the pump. It always seems to go first, and definitely. I'm not imagining this. It definitely goes, and sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always goes to my legs. That's a guarantee. It always goes to my legs. It's
okay.
The longest time.
So, all right. So the way I understand this, I'm not an expert. Maybe somebody will come in and comment later and with a better understanding. The way I'm understanding this is so the connection between the perineum and the anus and the process of contracting that. As I do that, I'm sitting here. I can immediately feel the muscles all the way to my knees. Kind of shaking a little bit. And obviously I'm not in any kind of state of arousal whatsoever.
Right.
So I think what's happening is because you're not intentionally moving that ball of energy, it's just kind of
getting dissipated. Yes.
It's just kind of going. It's kind of going where your body's going. And because you're contracting that, you're stressing your legs a little bit. So it goes there. Right?
Yeah.
So I would venture to guess that if you spend some time focusing on, I'll just tell you what I do, the basics of it. So I kind of imagine the energy in a infinity symbol.
Okay.
I spiral it through that in the infinity symbol, in my pelvic bowl area. Okay, and when it's ready to be moved, when either it's enough that needs to be moved, or if I feel like I'm getting anywhere near the point of no return, then it needs shot. It needs brought up at that point. Okay. So, and and just deep, slow breathing. I mean, the whole time, deep, slow, conscious breath, the whole time is so important. If you're not, that's like get in that breath first before you even begin to start any sort of practice like this. So you draw it then up the spine and move the energy in the form of an ankh.
What's an ankh?
An ankh?
Yeah, I don't know.
The Egyptian ankh. I will see if I can pull up a picture here. So it's basically a cross, okay, that has a head on top of it, and the head is roughly the shape of a human head, kind of oval. And once I can get a picture here, I'll just bear with me. And it may take a few cycles for that energy to actually spread, dissipate, if you will. Okay.
Okay, so that shape. Okay, I'm with you.
Yes. So the Egyptian ankh. Surely you've seen this at some point.
Yes, sir. Yes, definitely.
Oh, sorry. So what happens is you move the energy relative to your body like this, right? So you draw the energy up, okay, to roughly the point of the heart, and then you draw it back about 18 inches, whatever you're comfortable with. Maybe a little less to start, because you don't want to lose that energy, in the process of it. You want to be able to maintain that the control of it, and then back into the heart, then up a little bit, the rest of the spine, and back around the head slowly. This especially when you go around the head, very slow. Back around to the front, shortly down to the neck, and now to the front of the heart. The energy you allow out the front, back to the center, and then back down. And now the back down part is very important also, to bring it back down. I'm sure Montauk Chia absolutely says that as well.
How is this feeling for you? So you're having orgasms all over the place, or you're talking about when you're doing this process of going up the spine around the bottom? Does it feel like an orgasm all over the place, or does it feel subtler than that? Or
it depends. Yes, it can. It can. It takes a little bit of build up, to have it actually feel like that. But so the idea is, instead of I've got all this orgasmic energy that just wants to shoot semen and seed, into a female, instead of finishing that way with the energy, we're drawing it up. Okay, we're pulling it up. And if the manifesting is a separate, I don't want to get off that. So, see, it's really hard to say whether it feels like, because sometimes it feels like it actually goes away. And that's what helps to retain. See, I've had no formal tantra training. I know this has probably been taught in some tantra schools and things like that, but the energy kind of, like the feeling of like I'm gonna explode, like disappears magically. Okay, now usually, like if I'm having a session with my wife and we're actually sitting together, the first one won't be orgasmic, but as we go on, the process of pulling that out, of making that energy go away, allows me to feel orgasm later, even if I'm not necessarily moving it intentionally. It allows me to feel the feelings of orgasm without the ejaculation coming.
Yeah.
As long as I'm able to get well ahead of the point of no return every time, and then onk that. But as you build that up and as you go and onk more, yes, it will eventually. And yeah, I have a 7-month-old, so it's Harry, it's been a while since we've had that kind of time that you really need for a tantric experience, you know, of ours. So I'm having a hard time recalling exactly what that feels like, Harry. But yes, you can actually literally feel the orgasmic energy as you're doing that as well.
What you're talking about is like the valley orgasm. So you start off and it's not quite an orgasm, but it's uphill. It's all uphill. You kind of go and then you go to the next level and then you carry on with your partner and it's the next level and the next level.
It's like, all right.
Yeah.
All right. Right, exactly.
Yeah. I also feel that what's stopping myself is from these orgasms is actually a fear. I feel like there's a blockage. So if you're afraid of losing control, you will struggle with full body orgasms. I feel like, but if you're a controlling person, so you need to practice losing control and being okay to opening up to that experience in order to have them.
You know, you're so right, Harry, and that's something that I need to hear too, because right, that fear is real. And I generally feel that fear at the beginning, typically. And then as I go, I'm able to get past that, and right, exactly, that's when the real magic happens. So yeah, I hadn't even consciously put that together, that getting past those fears of, you know, I don't want this to end, and you know, at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, those are real fears, you know, no matter how much. I'm sure even the masters maybe have those from time to time.
I will say that even though I did get them on the legs, I had experience where I was really clean in a Vipassana retreat, and I practiced in the morning. I was just doing my testicular massage and arousing myself and then doing it. And then what happened was I had them in the arms too. So, and I was thinking, well, if it is just a dump in the legs, why am I also getting orgasm in the arms? And what I noticed was for a good hour after I'd finished with that, the microcosmic orbit practice, the anus perineum contraction, for an hour afterwards, my arms were having like little blips of like orgasm. Like I was outside, I was like, oh, I must be doing something. I may not be getting it completely round, but it's in my arms because it's giving me a little sexual energy every now and again, like for an hour afterwards. So I was doing something. I'm definitely onto something. I might not be doing it completely correct, but yes, I will practice. Getting better.
Yes, I'm learning how to do things more correct too with the energy work, and that's why I want to say, like, I'm just, you know, I'm fortunate how I've tripped over these different you know, things to learn at different points in my life that really accelerated the others, and you know, if it wasn't for having already practiced regular energy work and actually feeling and being able to move energy within my body anywhere, I don't know how I would have had any sort of success with, you know, with the onking, because it's not, I mean, it's imagination, but it's I mean, it's a real feeling. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so you're not pretending. You know what I mean? Like, it's imagination, but you're not pretending. Does that make sense?
It's real energy that we're talking about, but you can use the imagination to get that energy moving. And Qigong would have helped you big time with all the sexual energy work. Qigong probably would have been the base foundation start for you. And then you just built from there the energies and played around with them. And,
completely necessary, in my opinion. Absolutely. And probably what you're feeling with the arms is probably some sort of a blockage in a meridian that's
oh, good point.
It's clearing up, and be grateful for that.
Yeah, it could well be, because I know my arms and legs are the weakest parts of my body in terms of toxicity, which I've noticed over the years of fasting and stuff. They are the weakest parts. So yes, it could well be blockages. Interesting.
Absolutely. Anytime you get a cramp, anything like that?
I never get cramps. No, not anymore. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever find yourself in a position with a woman where you're in a position where you are maybe cramping, you can send your breath to that. Send your energy to that. Be grateful for it, and just get into your breath, because the cramp will subside. And what that cramp is doing, and it's the same, and I'm mentioning this because it's the same kind of thing you were mentioning with your arm. It's giving you an opportunity to do a lot of healing in a very short amount of time.
Cool. Like that.
Right. If you don't stun it. Most people flip out and they get a cramp. And I used to too. Oh shit, cramp. Massage it, water, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, and somewhere along the lines of the stretching, I realized I can actually use those cramps to accelerate flexibility training.
Oh, I like that. That's
so
really
sometimes I will intentionally induce cramps, or if I start to feel a cramp on, I won't try to stop it at all. I'll just go.
That's cool. Breathing through the process, breathing through the injury, breathing through the pain. It's almost like Vipassana we're talking about again. It's like breathing through your problems, breathing through what comes up on the body, breathing through the muscle pain. I like it.
Yeah, this Vipassana sounds pretty cool, Harry.
Oh, mate, you have to do one. Please go on to Google. Every center in the US has a local. When you do it with your wife, it would be such a great experience, like for you both to do it. I'd love you if you came and shared that with me one day.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we've been going a while. I do want to, before we finish off though, and thank you very much for all that you said. It's been wonderful, but I would like to ask you, before you leave, is there anything that we didn't cover that you feel that you'd like to talk about? Also, is there any last message that you'd like to give people that will help them on their journeys?
I suppose I could review my notes here just to see. Sometimes I write notes just to help me remember stuff, and then I don't.
Sure. Yeah, brother.
I don't even refer to them. No, I really think that's everything. I really appreciate your interest in my human journey.
It's more than that, brother. I appreciate your knowledge and wisdom and your support and the things that I've learned from people like yourself on Facebook, and your inquisitiveness and the journey that you're undertaking, because yours is beautiful, special, and you're a beautiful personality that can reach people in ways that I can't. Some people resonate to my message, but they don't resonate they don't resonate to mine, but then resonate more to yours. Just like you'll have people that don't resonate with you, resonate to me. So you're part of the team that is so important to humanity. So thank you for doing this interview and being open to the possibilities of what happened with us today.
I'm touched, Harry, and honored to share this space with you. And if there's anything I want, if there's one thing I want people to take, it's that we do have the power to talk to ourselves and heal ourselves. And through all this health journey, there's so much information out there, and people like you are going all in with stuff that's, not supposed to be done and not supposed to eat, blah, 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 all that. Just know that we are amazing beings of body and light already. And if we don't allow our mind to tell us that we're not doing enough, because, oh no, I need to eat fruits all the time and I can't, or oh no, I'm not meditating every day, I'm not doing enough, or oh no, I'm not like Harry, or whatever, or Lucas or Salvador or whatever.
Well, they're right. They're original copies. They don't need to copy me or you. They're uniquely you, so they are right.
Exactly. And it's okay to take a little bit from each one. You don't have to take it all, because a lot of the fruitarians are extreme, and that's good. They need to be, but it doesn't mean you have to be extreme. Maybe you do. Maybe it does. I don't know. I'm still not sure. I'm still figuring out whether I want to go 100% raw or fruits. Still figuring that out. But I'm trying hard as hell to love myself the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. And when I catch myself in a period of dogma of, oh, this or that, I snap out of it, and I hope you will too, Harry.
I hope so one day. I'll come out of my extremity and come back to normalcy. No, because it's true though. I recognize the extreme parts of my personality, and I know there's edges that come off. It will happen naturally when we age, and I become a little bit more, less egotistical and more, like, not in a bad way, but just a little bit less competitive and more like, hey, Harry, take it easy, bro. You've got one lifetime in this incarnation. Enjoy the ride. But in the meantime, I acknowledge where I am at. I acknowledge the fact that I'm trying, and I acknowledge my extremeness. But I hope it doesn't put people off, because I try not to be extreme around people. So that's the most important thing. I'm extreme with myself, but I'm not really with other people. I'm just with other people. I'm like, yeah, you do what you want. It's okay. It's all good. It's just fun.
Oh, Harry, continue developing how you get your message out. You do it excellently.
Yeah.
The people who are ready for it will receive it.
Mm.
As you continue to develop it, more people will become ready for it, and they'll be able to receive it.
Yeah.
But you're doing beautifully, friend.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, David, for joining us. Thank you for the audience for watching this. Just listening to Harry Alkali's Talk Show with David High. I hope you got lots of information, guys, and have a